skip to content Albany. Intermediaries for Dutchess County Executive Marcus Molinaro, the presumptive GOP gubernatorial candidate, recently reached out to former U.S. Attorney Preet Bharara about running for Attorney General on a fusion ticket, the Daily News has learned. Even though Bharara is a Democrat, one Molinaro backer cited the dire need to clean up Albany and Bharara's track record. He said the former federal prosecutor who took on Albany corruption and was fired in 2017 by President Trump could likely get the GOP, Reform and Independence Party lines. "I'm not saying it's likely or even that it was warmly received, but it wasn't rejected as an idiotic idea," the source said of Bharara's reaction. He said he didn't want to do anything that looked like it was part of a deal, but I argue this wouldn't. One Democratic insider called Molinaro's interest surprising given that, if Preet were to run, he would obviously be running an anti-Trump campaign, as a safety net in case he fires Special Investigator Robert Mueller. Bharara, who couldn't be reached for comment, is not seeking to be appointed by the legislature to serve out the last few months of Eric Schneiderman's term after the disgraced Attorney General quit last week in the wake of a New Yorker magazine report that he physically abused 4 women. But Bharara hasn't ruled out seeking the Democratic line for the job in the November election. The state's chief judge has declined to serve on a commission that will consider enacting the first executive and legislative pay raises in 20 years. The state budget passed in March created a 5-member commission to consider imposing the first state-level pay raise in 20 years. Among the 5 people the law places on panel is State Chief Judge Janet DeFiore, whose counsel argues is not eligible to serve, in a memo obtained by the Daily News. In sum, the proposed appointment of the Chief Judge to the Compensation Committee would raise serious constitutional issues, and, if signed into law and left unamended, will present the Chief Judge with the impossible ethical choice of either violating the Constitution, by serving on the committee, or violating a statute by declining to serve, State Court System Counsel John McConnell wrote. The memo sent to the governor and legislative leaders cites a provision in the state constitution that says a judge may not hold any other public office or trust except an office in relation to the administration of the courts. McConnell said intent of the restriction is to avoid conflicts with judicial services, including those involving issues of separation of powers. It's also meant to ensure it doesn't give the appearance of compromising judicial impartiality and independence, including independence from the political process, while keeping a judge from taking a position on issues that might ultimately wind up before the courts, he argues in the memo. DeFiore spokesman Lucian Chalfin told the News the Chief Judge is fully aware she can't serve, but even without DeFiore, the panel's work will go on. The 4 others who will serve are the state and city controllers, and the chairman of the state university and city university systems. Even though he is the only one on the panel who could potentially benefit from a pay raise, assuming he's re-elected, State Controller Thomas DiNapoli will serve on the commission, spokeswoman Jennifer Freeman said. He was not consulted beforehand, but he will serve, Freeman said. The suggestion was made by Intermediaries for Dutchess County Executive Marcus Molinaro, the presumptive GOP gubernatorial candidate. Under the law, the commission could consider raises that would be phased in over 3 years. The recommendation would automatically be enacted unless the legislature takes specific action to change or reject it. The current base salary for lawmakers is $79,500. If nothing is done by the end of the year, lawmakers will have to wait 2 more years to consider the issue again because a sitting legislature can't give itself a raise. A firm headed by the former digital director of the Bernie Sanders presidential campaign will begin working this week with the Progressive Working Families Party that has backed actress Cynthia Nixon in her Democratic primary challenge of Gov. FLOMO. Middle Seat is a national digital firm that handles mass emails, online fundraising, digital ads, social media and website and graphic design for campaigns. One of its partners is Kenneth Pennington, who was the digital director of the Sanders 2016 campaign. Middle Seat until recently had been doing work for the Nixon campaign. The list of potential Republican lieutenant governor candidates is almost as long as Democrats considering a run for attorney general. Source close to Republican presumptive gubernatorial nominee Marcus Molinaro said the campaign is considering nearly a dozen candidates to serve as his running mate. Among them are Assemblywoman Nicole Maliotakis of Staten Island, who unsuccessfully ran for New York City mayor in 2017, City Councilman Eric Ulrich, former Rep. Nan Hayworth of Westchester County, ex-State Sen. Jack Martins, of Nassau County, Mineola Mayor Scott Strauss and Nassau County Legislator Laura Schaefer. Others are former State Housing Commissioner Joseph Holland, who is still seeking the gubernatorial nomination and has been mentioned as a potential Attorney General candidate, State Sen. Fred Akshar, a former sheriff, and Westchester business and real estate executive Frank Buckenfusco. Margaret Hoover, host of the PBS political show Firing Line, has also been approached, and Cheryl Dinolfo, who is the co-chair of Molinaro's Lieutenant Governor Screening Committee, has emerged as a candidate as well, the source said. Sources said the final decision could be determined by how the rest of the GOP ticket shakes out. The process is moving along, said one person. We're still doing interviews and we've still got another week to decide.